Hello, this is Colerain Township.
Hello, and welcome to Colerain Communicator. I'm Jason Grzgorek. You may be familiar with other shows that are in the same vein with Colerain Township, being Talking with Colerain Township. We still have the same wonderful program, but we're adding on to this wonderful program with the three departments that normally don't get spoken about on the show: zoning, police, and fire. Tonight, we're very fortunate to have our inaugural show, Off with Zoning, with Jeff Mills. Jeff, glad you could join us.
Thanks, Jason.
We have a lot. I'm glad you could be the first guinea pig, if you will. Sure. But we've got a lot of things to talk about in this brief half hour, but it's some great things that are happening in your department as well, and that being the big one is the John Rose Project.
Yes.
It's probably one of the bigger projects that you have undertaken since your start here, and we should start with the history of where this was. Most people are very familiar that it's not the most desirable neighborhood, at least as we go on. It wasn't,
Sure.
And it soon will be.
I think so. So I've, since I've started, I've been here for going on 2 years now. I've absolutely fallen in love with the neighborhood of Groesbeck. It certainly has trended in the wrong direction for the last decade or so. But as I drive through Groesbeck, I'm just absolutely enamored with the quality of the housing stock down there, the brick Cape Cods that are still houses that people want to be in, the neighborhoods that are close-knit, well-maintained.
Or that retro feel,
yes.
That very 1950s, 60s feel.
Absolutely, and it's very affordable, great place for young families to get started, but it's fallen into disrepair, and I think that the revitalization of Groesbeck is something worth fighting for, and it's something that we absolutely are committed to. And you know, as I think about the revitalization of Groesbeck, I think about it in terms of sort of a three-pronged strategy. The first one being pretty major investments in public infrastructure. The roads down there are old. They were built when the subdivision was built, and since then they just age like every other piece of infrastructure that we have. So the roads and the sidewalks need attention. That's one thing that can be a part of the Groesbeck revitalization. The second thing is commercial investment, and I think that we're starting to see a little bit more of that. In particular, on the corner of Colerain and Galbraith, there used to be a BP station there. That station has been raised, and in its place will be another gas station, but one with a much more careful eye to the urban form, right? So we're gonna harden up the corner there with a stacked stone wall. Eventually, there's going to be much better landscaping, and it's going to make that major intersection much nicer to look at. And I think that that project, also another project, big commercial project that's happening down in Groesbeck, that's on the horizon at least, is the redevelopment of the old Builders First Source building, which is the old Western Home Center. So that's been in a long-term lease for a very long time, and so the owner hasn't really had much of an incentive to redevelop it because he's collecting rent. And regardless, right? And that's too bad for the neighborhood. But that lease is coming due soon, and I think that presents a major opportunity for redevelopment, and so I'm really excited about that. But the third prong is what we're here to talk about tonight, which is residential redevelopment. And when it comes to residential redevelopment, especially down in John Rose, there was, in the John Rose area, there was this S-curve of John Rose that comes right off of Colerain Avenue. And it was just the absolute center of crime and blight. In fact, we kind of referred to it as part of the axis of evil. I mean, there's a triangle with three sides, three corners. One of them was John Rose, the other one was In Town Suites, and the third was Fireside Motel. And between those three properties, those three areas, they were generating an enormous amount of police and fire runs, and
obviously something you don't want to have as the main thing that anybody thinks about when they're thinking of Colerain Township.
That's it, and it's holding back redevelopment. That crime is nobody wants to invest in an area where their property can be broken into, or their employees don't feel safe. So John Rose, as one of the three corners of that axis of evil, if you will, was ready something had to happen there. I mean, people were being pulled out of those buildings on heroin overdoses. There were, I've done building inspections there where the buildings are full of water in the basement, and people are still living in these buildings. Kids are living in these buildings. This is 800 feet away from Struble Elementary, and it's just not in Colerain. That's not in anywhere. But
well, no, exactly.
Right?
No.
But we hold, our residents, our business owners, our communities to a very high standard. That's what we expect, and that was absolutely subpar and unacceptable. So this genres project is kind of the piece de resistance. It's the centerpiece of our efforts to eliminate crime and blight down there. And so there were 13 multifamily buildings on this multifamily and 1 or 2 single-family residences sprinkled in there. 13 of these buildings. We were able to, through aggressive code enforcement, through partnerships with the building department, partnerships with the police department, the health department, a very multi-agency mode of attack. We were able to leverage all of the resources and pinpoint them on this one terrible place. And as a result of that, we were able to demolish all 13 of those properties and the old pet hospital, which was another atrocious building.
Can't even imagine.
It was insane. It was like somebody just walked away on a Friday afternoon, turned the key, and never came back. Meanwhile, people are breaking in there. There's obviously a number of things that you would find at a veterinary clinic that were still there that people were stealing, and it was just, it ransacked. It was horrible. It's terrible. It's not there anymore. And in its place, and the 13 residential buildings place is going to be a 69-unit senior living facility. Right now, the status of the project is CMHA, the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority, owns 9 of the parcels. The Colerain Township Community Improvement Corporation owns 2 of the parcels. The Land Bank owns a parcel, and Bank of America owns 2 parcels. And what we're trying to do is consolidate all of those parcels into CMHA's hands, okay. And then they will begin with the development of this what I perceive as a gem for that community.
Do you think that obviously we've gone into the process, did you find it difficult to get them demolished? I mean, obviously a lot of people are going to probably try to fight tooth and nail, sure. But obviously it got to a point where there's really nothing to fight for.
That's right. It's just dogged persistence. I mean, there was no deviation from our goal of fixing that problem because it means too much. It means too much for the neighborhood. It means too much for the larger community. And another partnership that I failed to mention was this was absolutely a public-private partnership. We partnered with a developer who is skilled in the acquisition and assembly of parcels. And so the developer was able to go to all of the individual landowners and say, we'll buy it from you. So we had, on one hand, we had very keen attention to the shortcomings when it comes to health, safety, building code, zoning code. And then on the other hand, you had a developer that was saying, let me allow you, landowner, to be part of this solution. Sure. Let me take this problem off of your hands. And they were very, very successful in doing that. And then it came to, as it relates to the demolition, moving Ohio forward, dollars yes. paid for a great deal of the demolitions, and to be honest, that project would not have been possible but for the Moving Ohio Forward dollars that came from the state and through the Port Authority of Greater Cincinnati.
And as you were saying, which again, a great job on that, moving that forward. And you were saying that a number of people are still owning pieces of property to try to get it to funnel it into CMHA's hand. I'm sure that's everybody's got that common goal, so I'm assuming that's moving a lot quicker than what it probably normally would?
Sure. I mean, it moves as quick as you demand it to move, right? I mean, everybody's busy. Everybody has 100 things going on, but when this whole project is really a case study, and when you make something important and you actively and aggressively pursue that important thing, you can get stuff done. I mean, you really can, and you can not just something that doesn't have a lot of meaning, but something that's very meaningful, and in fact is a catalytic project. I mean, I see this transformation as a catalytic project for Groesbeck. I mean, I think getting rid of those buildings and in its place putting a community asset is transformative. It's and hopefully breeds more success. And you know, just I had the police department pull a couple of numbers this morning, and if you look back at the calls for service from April 1st of 2013, last year, to today's date, you know, August 20th of 2013, there were 40 calls last year in that period, 40 calls for service with 7 offenses listed. If you look at that same period this year, it's cut in half. And
wow.
And to be honest with you, I think that that's a skewed number because I think that most of those, you know, in that same period this year, there were 16 calls for services and 4 offenses. But I bet, and I don't know this for sure, but if I were to hazard a guess, a lot of those happened in April before the buildings were completely demolished. You know, so I mean, now it looks like a park. You know, there's nothing. It's incredible. Everything's been seeded. There's straw down. It's starting to grow back, and it's incredible. It's really incredible.
And of course, as we said, we're hoping that it will all merge together to go to CMHA to create this grand senior area.
Yeah.
Will we be modeling it off of something that's already been existent, or is this something new in its entirety?
Yeah, so, you know, to be completely frank with you, I haven't been impressed with the product that CMHA has produced in the past.
Which a lot of people would say, you know, they hear those 4 initials and they get, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when I thought of CMHA, when this project started, you know, I thought of English Woods, I thought of, you know, Finlandia Gardens, and that is absolutely not anything that I want anywhere near our community.
And probably not anything that you were envisioning in this new area.
Absolutely not. Then I went to the reserve at Martin Street, which is in Mount Healthy. And what I saw there was a LEED certified building, which means very environmentally friendly. Yes. I saw finishes on the exterior. I'm talking about stone pillars. I'm talking about walking trails, raised bed gardens, common areas for grilling, you know, a workout facility, a library. I saw that and I said, that's a different product. I mean, that's nothing like anything I've ever seen from CMHA in the past. And I started to get excited, and I went inside, and you could see the residents were very keen on taking care of the property. It was age restricted, so I don't know what the cutoff is, but you have to be above a certain age in order to live there. There is you know, I saw everybody excited to be there, and there was a waiting list, and I saw that product, and I said, "This is incredible! Like, let's have that.
Do this.
Yeah, can we have that here?" And through conversations with CMHA, they assured me that yes, in fact, you can. And so, where we're at now is we're trying to finalize all the parcel assembly. At the same time, CMHA is applying for different funding mechanisms, one of which is the low-income housing tax credit. Which would be a very critical funding piece to this. So they're working on putting the funding together. And you know, I wish I could tell you a timeline. You know, I wish I could tell you, like, you know, spring 2016.
Well, you know how I am. I was going to ask.
I had a feeling
stare into that crystal ball. When are we going to see anything? But
I think that the funding should be in place by spring. We'll know spring into early summer next year what the funding mechanism is going to be. And there's already preliminary drawings that are sketched out. It's moving, you know, so I'm happy with the movement and the progress, and I'm excited to see.
So obviously we know of a possible timetable on that. Let's look at the building itself. Are you envisioning those same types of structures? Is that what we're seeing maybe in these preliminary sketches?
Yes.
I would assume trying to keep with a look, maybe revitalizing or staying within the neighborhood, or are we going to try to spark something new?
Well, like I said, I loved what I saw on Martin Street in Mount Healthy, and that's what I expect to see on Genres. You know, it was a place that, to be completely honest with you, I would feel comfortable with my grandmother being at. I mean, it was so nice, and that's the quality of building that we're looking at. It may not be LEED certified, but it will certainly have the look and feel and actual building materials. That we can all be proud of, and that hopefully we can point to and say, that's the level of development that we expect in Grospec, and that's what we're hoping to do.
Do you feel that the exterior and interior of this building is going to bring people in, or are you afraid that the stigma of John Rose may still hold on to this building for a while?
No, I don't think so. You know, if you continue past this S-curve, and John Rose extends a ways past this S-curve.
Yes.
I mean, that community is well maintained. The yards are nice. The houses are in good shape. I mean, it's a quality neighborhood, and so this is just going to build on what's already there, and that's what's so exciting.
And then on the flip of that, if you know we're bringing people in, do you feel that development will soon follow through?
That's my hope. You know, I mean, it can't not. I mean, you can see. Here's another good case study is what we saw on the commercial side up around Northgate recently. I mean, one quality development is following another quality development, and each time a new development comes in, we're able to say, look at what's here. This is what you need to be doing now.
And and it sounds like you're saying this is the standard.
This is the standard.
We go no lower.
That's right. We are stepping up. We're stepping up our game. So I mean, what has been done in the past is not acceptable anymore. We're moving forward. You know, we are raising the bar, and you can see that. You know, Stone Creek I think started it. Northgate is keeping it on. You can see facade improvements at the old Michaels with the Aldi and the Jack's Pets is going to be going in. The facade improvements that are going on there are fantastic, and it's just going to keep on. So I'm excited.
It sounds like a great project, and everything moving forward, starting from the north, going down south, which has always been our big question.
Right.
When Jim has sat here and when Frank's been here, has always been, when are we going past Reagan?
Right.
Or, you know, because you've got every little corridor there, but we kind of stop.
Exactly.
You're talking about this BP station. We're talking about the John Rose area. Do you think that may be the spark to start the South movement?
Has to be. It has to be. So when you talk about infusing this John Rose project would be $11-12 million project. When you talk about infusing that amount of money into a neighborhood, I think that you can demonstrate, you know, look, like this is viable. Come have your small business here. And that's the other thing that I love about Grospect is that there are other parts of the Colerain Avenue corridor that are very well suited to national tenant retailers and restaurants. The business district in Grospect resembles more the small neighborhood business district, you know? I mean, and that's where many of our small businesses are located. That's the other reason why I really love that area, you know? I mean, it's very unique, and I think it has a lot of potential. And so hopefully when we get rid of the crime problem, which we're absolutely working on, and we start to see new development, I think it'll be a signal to others that, hey, it's okay to reinvest here. It's okay to put your money in this community and stay for a long time.
So I'm sensing obviously good things. We've been seeing a lot of these good things, especially when you started on a project that came up with taking care of that hotel and turning that into the police substation.
Right.
I think that was part of that key of the killing of the crime,
right?
So to speak. And now you've demolished all of these buildings that was a crime area.
Right.
Obviously, you know, we'll be bringing safety side into this later to understand it, but from your aspect in zoning, where do you go next? I mean, obviously you're trying to quill anything, like you said, that access of evil.
Right.
Where would you go next?
Well, you know, the next thing, and it's actually not the next, it's sort of a continuation of what we're doing right now, but we need to be vigilant, is being very aware of people's perception of Colerain as they drive down the corridor. I mean, Colerain Avenue has so many cars per day that drive down there, and really that's the public face of Colerain Township. Right. When people think of Colerain, they think of Colerain Avenue, and so
they don't realize the spans that it goes
massive.
Outside of
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
It is massive, and goes from urban to suburban to rural. It's an incredible place, but it's got a little bit of everything. But when people are driving down Colerain Avenue, we need to be very aware that that is our public face, and we need to make sure that the temporary signs, the dancing men that are out there, the sign spinners, all that gives an impression of who we are, and I think that it's a negative impression. And so we've earlier this year we did a strategic enforcement action on Colerain Avenue, and we plucked up all of the temporary signs, and but that was after we did a big education campaign. We reached out to every business owner on the strip and said, hey, these are the rules for signage, and oh, by the way, next month we're going to be coming through and enforcing these rules. So fair warning, and we did that, and it was successful for a time. But the issue with temporary signage is that it's temporary, so they can pull it out and they can put it right back out. So how do you maintain compliance, and how do we think strategically about what we want that corridor to look like and how it should best represent us as a community? And so to that end, next Friday, as a matter of fact, we're meeting with all of the auto dealers on Colerain Avenue because they are users of temporary signage, and we're going to have a conversation with them about how can we have a win-win situation where you have the ability to let everybody know that you're having a big blowout sale and everybody should come buy their cars on Colerain Avenue, while at the same time being respectful of the aesthetic that we're looking for. And one of the things that I think about when I think about that is it doesn't have a cohesive brand. It's not like the Colerain Avenue Auto Mile, which I think it should be.
You do bring that up, and I mean, and last night's meeting you very eloquently brought it up as being quadrants, and you do have that auto mall area.
Sure.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. It's a great branding.
It's an opportunity for sure, because you think of the King's Auto Mall, right? And if you drive in the King's Auto Mall, it has a similar feel as you drive through there. There are standards. It's a collective attempt to make a high quality product, and there's different actors, and why couldn't that happen at Colerain?
You know where you are.
You know where you are, exactly. And so I think that the township could be involved in rebranding that little district, and I think that the owners of the property there could be very involved also in buying into that vision, first of all, in collectively establishing that vision, and then buying into it, and then working really hard to make sure that it stays that way. So, piece by piece by piece, I think. It's only going up. We're only moving forward. And it's all good. So,
it is.
Yeah.
One last question, because I know we're getting close to time here, but we have been talking about and making light comments quickly of the Ohio Moving Forward project. Yeah. We're still pursuing that, correct? That is still ongoing.
No, that one
or have we ended?
It wrapped up in May, and the result of that is pretty incredible. I mean, there are localized effects that we were just talking about, like on John Rose. That was a lot of projects in a small area and with incredible results. And there's also, which I think needs to be mentioned, some really incredible wins in the sort of scattered sites. So there would be a vacant building that had been completely dilapidated and run down in somebody's neighborhood, and we were able to demolish that structure, and now it's no longer the center of blight that it was before. I think the analogy that I used last time we were talking about was like rot on an apple. It just grows grows out
from the center and out.
And so if we can cut that rot on that apple out, then then it doesn't grow anymore. And we've seen that. And here's a really exciting outcome of one of those demolitions. One of the demolitions was recently purchased by a developer, and he has proposed a new single-family residential structure on that house. So this is an infill project. It's an established neighborhood. We knocked down a dilapidated blight house, and in its place is coming up a brand new house, and one that a new young family can move into and feel comfortable and safe, and that is absolutely the outcome that we're looking for. I wish we could replicate that all in all of those.
That's exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that's really exciting to see, it work according to the play.
It was I have to say, unfortunately, it was a wonderful project because it did allow you to do many different things and help get that image back out there that there is a standard here.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're going to be living by. Do you believe we will ever see a project similar to this again? And if you do, would you gladly come aboard on it?
Yeah, for sure. So, my mind has been so into the John Rose thing that I haven't yet turned away because it's not done yet. I want to see this one through to completion.
Absolutely.
But I think that there are a lot of opportunities. I think that we need to think very strategically about Northbrook. I think that that's another community that has been trending in the wrong direction, and I think that I'm not sure that what we did down on John Rose is replicable in Northbrook, but we need to develop a new strategy for Northbrook because we can't continue to let that deteriorate. Colerain Township, as we just discussed, is an incredibly large place, and so that's good and bad. Good because there's lots of opportunities for change, and bad because sometimes it's unwieldy. But I think that focusing our attention on priority neighborhoods that are as I had said, trending in the wrong direction, but salvageable and we can right that ship. And so that's why I think focusing our attention on Groesbeck, moving to Northbrook, I think those are the two neighborhoods where we can have the biggest impact and make the most positive change.
Well, it sounds like we have a topic for the next
There
time
you
we
go.
meet, but keep that in mind, and
Great.
we've got wonderful things coming from the zoning department, and I'm
Sure
sure we
thing.
will discuss them as the months go on.
Yes.
So Jeff, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us as well on this inaugural jaunt through Colerain Communicator. I'm Jason Grzgorek, Lake Cross Community News Government Access Coordinator. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.